Hi, Steve. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, yeah. And you're Ethan, aren't you?
Yeah, Ethan. Yeah.
Yeah, nice one, Ethan. Yeah, nice to meet you, mate.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot for coming on and taking the time out. Um, I know you're busy with Brassic season 6 coming out today.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that new series?
Well, not a lot really. Just to say that there's a lot of the old faces back. Lots more shenanigans. Things you wouldn't think happen are going to happen. Um, it's always a surprise in Brassic, but I can't give any spoilers away. But it's non-stop and it's out there now. All episodes have been released today, and there's already people who've watched at least half of them.
I can't wait to watch it. Do you watch the things back that you're in?
Yeah, generally I do, but only to criticise my performance,
Really?
like most actors. Yeah, to see what you could have done better, or was the right inflection in that word? Was that pause too long or not short enough? It's never ending.
Well, Jim is an iconic character in the series. How did that role come about for you?
What's that? The Jim character?
Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, they just put Sky just put something on Instagram yesterday that they filmed us when we were filming Series 6. They showed us our audition tapes that we did. Well, we went to an audition, they weren't self tapes. They showed us them. So it's quite interesting to see you go in there and do you're moving now. You're moving now. It was quite interesting to go in there and see how you did it the very first time when you were in the room with these people, casting director, producer, director, and Joe Gilgan was there as well. You could see little changes that have happened. I think my character, I think he was there, bang nailed on the page straight away. That was the way to do him. I think I've made his voice a little bit more raspy, and as I say in that Instagram post, it's on there. You can see it. Ryan explains his and Bav and but yeah, I understand him more. I know his mood swings. I know people that he likes, and I know who he doesn't like, and I know how he goes about things. So yeah, I think he's a great character.
When you first heard about the Brassic, like when you got the call to come and do the audition, what did you think of the script from the start?
Well, we didn't get the scripts. We just got the scenes. We got a rough outline. It's like any job, a job in actor. There was no big fanfare about it being coming out. It was new comedy drama made in the north. They'd like to see you for this part. Here's a couple of scenes, learn them, and then go down to London and do them. So that was basically what I did, and it was scenes from the very first episode. It was the scenes about the pony, getting him the right pony, and going on about Vaslowski. So they were giving me good stuff straight from the offset, and you could make a meal of his lines. He's a larger than life character. Everything's big. He's a big bastard. Fucking that's it.
It's a great cast, though, so it must be a laugh on set when you go in and film.
Yeah, it is. It is a good laugh, but also it can be hard work. Well, it is hard work. But that's what's so good about the cast. We all get on. We all get on, and we do have a laugh on stage. And sometimes it's a cold shoot and farms up on the hills. It can be very, very cold, especially if you're outside for long times. So we've got to get that to contend with. And also, a lot of improv happens in Brassic. Sometimes you get a scene and you learn it and you word perfect on it, and then it doesn't. It goes boom that way because somebody said something else that's either funnier or takes it off on a little different tangent, but without losing the integral plot. So that's the kind of beauty of it, that some scenes there is improvisation in there, but it still does the necessary job of that scene which is to further the plot and move it on.
What's been your favourite scene of film so far then?
Favorite scene?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I like the Disco Biscuit one myself. I thought it was it's just a great. I get some great rants. I
Yeah.
get some rants. The chickens one, selling the chickens, your chickens are cunts. But I get some lovely rants like, no credit cards, I want fucking this, that, and the other. And the Disco Biscuit. And I love them. I do them on my own. I relish them. I learn them. I learn them every which way but lose. I play about with them and I make sure the tone's right, the inflection's right. Is there an action for that word? Just to exaggerate it and keep it alive and moving. Fucking this, fist bump here, spliff here, all these actions I've put in just to keep it busy for me as an actor. I think it would be really terrible for someone to get that monologue. Yeah, that's all it is, really. It's a monologue. And to have no life in it. And you'll say, what a festival here. Tilly and Tarquin, Bank of Mum and Dad, they've never done a proper day's work in their lives. I mean, you know what I mean? It's got a festival here. Fucking, it's got to have life in it. You've got to bring it to fucking life. And that's the human. I mean, the writing's great. You've got to animate that. And I like to think of the moves and even the fist bump's a weak one. For, let's bring down the government. It's not even strong. All that's got to be done. I do that. That's my own work. And then when we go on set for something like it, in fact, the Disco Biscuit was the director. I was really looking forward to doing that. And there's only Joe and Ryan, Tomo and Vinny at the other end, and they don't say anything. So it is a monologue. I just went in and director said, "Are you ready for a rehearsal?" And I just said, "Can we just try a take and see what happens?" Because it's very animated as well. So we went for a take and bang, we did it in one, which is surprising because we get asked a lot how many outtakes was in that, how many outtakes, but there wasn't any big, but not because I just winged it, because I'd done hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of it in my house on my own, recording it, looking at it, criticizing it, and getting it right. So,
We'll get
you never doing homework.
well, I'm going to say we'll get back on the Brassic soon, but that's an interesting point. That how much of being an actor is like natural talent, and how much is just practice and practice.
Well, I don't know about natural talent, but certainly rehearsal helps. But it depends in what medium you're doing. I mean, I see some stand-up comedians and they're so good, and they work a room and someone can say one thing and they go off on a whole different tangent. I know they're kind of prepared for that somewhere, but sometimes they haven't. And I think it's wonderful to see someone like stand-up comics, see the brain working live in the moment at the time and doing it. I think that's a special gift. I don't think that's something I could do. I have to hide behind lines, even though I do try and give the best. We all do. We all try and give our best performances. But it's different because we do have lines that are written. Yes, they do deviate, but I don't think, and I know stand-up comedians have jokes ready and they have heckle stoppers and they have all that in the bag. Well, still, you don't know what's going to happen when you're doing stand-up live. So we get a lot of fun out of it, and it's nice to improvise. It's nice to get the job done, and it's nice when the director says, "Right, we've got that. Let's move on to the next scene."
You
It's
mentioned
really
there that you've got like lines already written for you, but like you said before, it's how you like take those lines and deliver them and stuff in it.
oh, absolutely, yeah, of course. Some people can do it, some people can't. Yeah, you can learn it. Um, I've not been to drama school. I went to Abram Moss as a course, as a drama course. So I'm not going to say you've either got it or you've not, because I don't think that's true. But it's a tricky one. some people can't deliver lines, some people can.
You know, like, well, you mentioned the festival rant scene then. You were at the FC United game the other day and they had one of your quotes on a flag. Do you get that a lot when you're out in public and
All the time,
that?
all the time. Hey mate, you call me mate, a cunt. You know, I'll tell you what's weird now. I can go into a pub. I can go into a pub, a strange pub, with my girlfriend, and there's 5 or 6 leery lads there, tattooed up, fucking beer in it. I walk through the door and they all go, whoa! And I go, you know, cunts. And they all want to buy me a drink. 40 years ago, I go in a pub and shout, you're all cunts, and get my head kicked in. That's how life's changed.
Well, the new series is on Sky, but Netflix have just put the first 4 series on. Have you noticed like new fans coming in through that?
Without a doubt, it's given it a new lease of life. It's gone insane. I'm going in pubs that I have been going in for years. You know, I go in a pub, I'm a quiet pint, me. Some people go, he's an actor over there, but now I'm going in the same pubs and people who have been serving me or have been letting on to me, and now going, oh my God, why have I never seen this before? Why have I not watched this before? And there's a barmaid in the local place where me and Jen go, my girlfriend, and she remembers our drinks and she's spot on the ball. And we went in there the other week and she'd never even heard of Brassic. She'd just started watching it. We thought she remembered our drinks because I was in Brassic, but she's just a good barmaid. She couldn't believe it. She's going, oh my God, I found at my mates and he put it on, it's you. And I've been serving him for years. So there's that nice element of surprise. But with it being on Netflix, yeah, the lease of life, the new fans is gone through the roof. You know, I mean, I have to, it's just gone through the roof.
Did you ever think it was going to be such a big hit when you first worked on it?
Well, I didn't think it'd go this long, you know. I knew I was playing a great character and I knew the scripts were good and I knew the whole gang was with so many different characters that interacted with each other. It was pure bliss. And it was a joy to work on. But no, I didn't think it'd go this long. After a series, we'd go, are we going again? Are we going? Does anyone know if we're going again? And then, you know, they'd say, we're going again. So it was like, yeah, bring it on. Let's have it.
There's a series 7 confirmed as well, isn't there?
Yes, we are going for 7, start filming in January.
Oh, dear, yeah. Have you
Yeah.
got the scripts and stuff then?
No,
No.
they'll be imminent. They should be here soon.
How long do you get with a script then to practice and go over stuff?
Well, we usually do 6 months to 8 episodes. So, you know, you might have some episodes where you ain't got a lot. You might just come in and say a few words and go. The other ones, you might be massively involved in it. It's just got to apply yourself to the workload.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the current day, but I just want to go back right to the start, really. What was life like for you growing up in Salford?
Well, there were 6 of us. We're Irish Catholics, mum and dad, Irish immigrants. Worked all their lives. And if they were here now, they'd say, never claimed a penny. And they didn't. They were good, solid, hard-working parents. Bit religious, but not too religious. You know, we had to go to church. We had to do all that bollocks. As soon as I could, I rejected it and you know, turned my back on church. I think it's nonsense. Believe what you like, but it's just the corrupt organisation, the Catholic Church, massively. So we had, you know, we lived in Salford. We lived in council flats there. My mum and dad got us out of there and we moved up to another part of Salford, the posh bit, higher Broughton. And my mum and dad bought an house there and we just went to school and my dad worked and my mum worked. My mum was a cleaner. She cleaned at the school where I went, secondary school. They just worked hard all their lives, and then slowly we all started leaving home. I went to sea. I joined ships. I thought it might be a bit of fun and a bit of adventure. I wasn't in the Navy. I was on the freight ships. I just wear a pair of jeans and painted my way around the world. Done that, came back, left that, got a job driving, delivering to. I always knew there was something there that I wanted to do, but no one ever encouraged anything. No one, you know, there was no like, you could further. It was just just get a job and work. Get a job you hate, buy things you don't need, and keep carrying on doing the job you don't like to pay for the things you don't fucking need. It was just a great big fucking trap. And then I got laid off in a job, moved into a flat with my first wife. We smoked a lot of pot. We fucked work off. We dropped out, if you like, and just started, deciding what was going on in here. Went and done a foundation course at Abram Moss in the 80s, early 80s. And that was the kind of bug for me. I still didn't know what I was doing, didn't know how to get jobs, didn't know how to get an agent, wanted to do some extra work and just to get on the teller. Didn't know. Nobody knew around me. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. Nobody sat me down and said, here's what you do, attack it this way, do that. Nobody. It was just blundering along with a vague plan in mind and not giving up.
Well, sorry. Well, you mentioned then that acting came later on in life, but were you a fan of film and TV growing up?
Yeah. I mean, you can't beat a good film. I watched TV then and loved things, but it wasn't like I sat down and watched the TV and went, one day I'm going to do that. That wasn't the world I moved in. I didn't have parents who were middle class. Bless them, they were grafters, my parents, and they were great people. But, it wasn't like when you're watching telly, your dad would say, oh, maybe you could be a scriptwriter one day, son. Or it's just that didn't happen. It wouldn't happen. It was like, get a job. When you're leaving school, have you got a job yet? You get a job, and you got a job anywhere. You got a job, and you paid your way to your mum, and then you went out on a weekend and got drunk, and then went to work again the next week. That was the cycle.
Do you think that makes you appreciate it more, though, acting?
I appreciate it anyway. I love it. I just love my job. I love the way I love. I just love getting a script and reading it, and then seeing the end product on the TV or on the big screen. It's not a better feeling. It's just watching. I'm not going to get all arsey here, but it is like planting a seed and watching it grow, and then seeing the end product. It's great. It's very satisfying. And it's very satisfying when you finish the day's work. That's a wrap for the day. And, the director says, that's fucking great, that today. We really got that. You nailed that. That was brilliant. So that's really nice. That's the job satisfaction you want. It's good.
You mentioned that you worked on the ships after school and like worked all over the world.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like, and did it change you when you got back?
Well, it changed me because it gave me an insight into other people in other countries. Like I say, I went to a secondary school in Salford, and when I left school on the last day, a guy from the Merchant Navy came in and he showed us a film about it. Merchant Navy, for anyone who doesn't know, is you don't wear uniforms, you don't salute anyone. You basically work on the freight ships carrying containers or flour, wheat, I don't know, anything from A to B. If it involves water, that's what we do. So I went to join that when I was 16. I got accepted, had done a test, done a physical. And then I had to go away to sea school in Gravesend in Kent for 3 months. And there we did have our haircut. We did wear a uniform. We learned how to tie knots. We learned how to open hatches. We learned how to navigate ships. We learned rope work. We learned wire work, splicing, everything about the sea. And on the last day, the guy who was there, one of the guys said, "Forget everything we've told you. You won't fucking need it. You just lack ship." So then you went home and you waited and you went down to what was called the pool, which was in Salford docks, where ships had come in and they might be looking for a deck boy, they might be looking for a caterer, or they might be looking for a chef, they might be looking for an AB, whatever, somebody who does the engines. So if you saw that up on the board, ship going here needs this, and you were one. When you got there, like you'd say, "I want to go on that ship." And you'd go on the ship, you'd sign the articles on it, and then the ship was employing you. And then when it set sail, you were on it. I think I spent the first 8 or 9 trips going to Montreal in Canada. Very, very rough seas. That's where I got my sea legs. That's what they call it. I think I was sick. I mean, some of the roughest seas in the world, the North Atlantic, and the coldest. Montreal in winter. It's not a nice place. So yeah, there was that, and then I got to foreign climes where it was hot. India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Aden, and places like that. So I kind of worked all that, and then I was stupid, drinking too much, doing daft things. I eventually got asked to leave. But that was all right. That satisfied the traveling curiosity. I got kind of got to know how other cultures were and what was accepted, and it made me, see the human race for what it was. Just different people doing stupid things in different countries. We all do stupid things. I don't care what color or creed or religion you are. We all do stupid fucking things.
Definitely, yeah. So you get back home and you say you've had a few jobs and stuff. When was the moment like you thought, I want to be an actor?
Well, there was a lot to do with that. Right. Got laid off the delivering pipes. All I was living in a flat in Crumsall. Started doing just writing comedy sketches with a mate of mine. Got involved in a band that we tried to put some theatrics in it. In fact, we did. We had a band where we changed clothes and we did little sketches, comedy sketches, but had musical effects to it, if you like. We made a story of it. It was 45 minutes long. And that was about a guy, like he'd go in his house and he'd switch the TV on. This is on stage. We'd have a cardboard TV and he'd switch it on and then we'd play music. And I'd come out in a sparkly jacket and I was now a game show host. So we'd done a game show host. We'd done a game show on stage. I was called Stinky Watkins. And the game show was, and believe me, we were way ahead of our time. This was in about 84, this. The game show was Celebrity Who's Turd. I'm not even kidding. We foresaw the banality of fucking celebrities, celebrity sleigh ride, celebrity mountain climb, celebrity cooking, celebrity bake off, celebrity fuck someone on an island, celebrity ladder, celebrity fall off a fucking building. We were way ahead of the curve. Celebrity Who's Turd. And we had a big silver platter with a big fake turd on it. And a fucking contestant who was one of our band members had to guess who it was.
It'd probably go on telly now, then, wouldn't it?
It fucking would go on telly now. I keep expecting it to pop up any day now. Hosted by Vernon Kay or someone. I don't know.
You mentioned there, they're like performing live and stuff. Did you enjoy doing it live?
Yeah, loved it. And then I wrote poetry, a comedy poetry as Adolf Chippan. So that was another thing I did. It was anything really, just to settle this urge I didn't know how to go about things. Nobody told me. Everything we did, we had to find out ourselves. So we wanted at this point equity cards. If you wanted to get into television, you had to be an equity member. But to get an equity card, you had to have experience. It was a catch-22, but if you didn't have the experience, how could you get the card? And if you didn't have the card, you couldn't get the experience. So that musical show, we found out that we needed 12 contracts, 4 past, 4 present, and 4 future gigs. So we ended up going down to the equity office in Manchester. We were never away from there, trying to find out bits of information. And we went in one day, we just tossed a coin, and it was me who went in and just said, can we have some equity contracts? We've got some stuff coming up. And I think he was reading the fucking Take a Break. And he just opened the drawer and threw us a pad of contracts and just went, there you go. So we come out, fucking yes. So we had blank contracts. So what we did then was we went to some guys we know with pubs and we went, will you say that we played here, sign these contracts, we don't want any money off you. So they did that. We got 4 gigs at 4 different pubs, and the future ones we took a chance on. We didn't have them. So then we put them into equity. We said, there's our 12 contracts, 4 past, 4 present, and 4 future bookings. And he went, right, okay, lads. You know, he was like, when we went in, it's like, oh, you lot again, you know. And he said, right, okay. And then we got our beloved equity cards. We got equity cards. So we could now be on TV as extras. So we got an agent and we were doing extra work, and it wasn't enough. And the killer was one day, this is how it all works on TV. We were doing extras. We're in Coronation Street at the back, nodding and pointing, you know. Extras always nod too much and point too much. Check it out. I mean, we were doing it on purpose because we had a laugh about it. But anyway, if you look at extras in the back, they're always going, yeah, you know. They're never disagreeing. They're never going, no. They're always going, yeah, over there. It's over there. They're always pointing and nodding their heads. So anyway, we were on a job one day. I can't remember the job. Dennis Waterman was in it. And he was the main star. We were in a crowd outside. Dennis was there. And then a car pulled up. This is a unit car. And an actor got out. He was in the next scene. And he got on the set. He done the scene. Maybe he had 2 lines, but he was a bona fide actor. I don't know his name. He did about 2 lines. And then the first AD, this is what they do on your last day. They went, right, everybody, that's a wrap for Joe Bloggs. And all the cast and the whole crew clapping. And then Joe Bloggs gets back in the unit car and he's gone. We're stood in fucking cold waiting rooms for 8 hours. And this Joe Bloggs comes in a chauffeur-driven car, gets out of the car waits for him, he does his job, gets back in the car and he's back to his trailer to get changed to go home. And when he drove away, I said to my mate, we need to be the guy in the car. And I never done any extra work after that. I turned it down because it was no good on your CV. You couldn't do it. So I stopped doing extra work, even though I was skint. I started hanging about at the Actors Centre, which was opposite the old Granada. And there was a notice board there, students making films. I went for loads of them. I learned about camera techniques and that from students making films. Some were great, some were bad, some were interesting. It doesn't matter. It was all a learning curve to me. I also got there with profit share acting companies who were working live on stage, never got paid, but some really good plays. We done East by Stephen Burkoff. We've done loads of like quite intense plays that played at low fringe places in Manchester. So I put my feet on the stage and on student films. And then Needing a Nation agent got with a work as Actors Cooperative, where you had to pay money to join, but they were the next step up for us. You could get lines in it because I wanted lines. So yeah, I started getting stuff with maybe 2 lines in it until casting directors get to know your work. It's not been easy. It's not been easy.
Is that what it's about then in the early days? Just getting the jobs you can and getting your name out there?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. And not only that, turning up on time, knowing your lines. If you've got lines, know your lines, know the other person's lines. So you know when to come back in with your line. But by the same rule, be prepared to drop that at the drop of a hat, be prepared to improvise. You might learn 2/3 a page, whatever, and then you go in and you go, "Oh, we've changed that now." So I mean, yeah, you've learned it, but if that's all you can do, lock it in your head and you can't deviate from it, you're not going to do yourself any favors. So you need to be able to delete that at the drop of a hat and go again and wing it. And sometimes that happens in Brassic. It's just such an organic thing. It's lovely. I love it. So, oh, that's not going to work. We'll do it this way. We do that. Or Joe might say, well, what if we tried this? What if we do that? And it's great. It keeps it fresh. It keeps you going. It's good stuff. It's all good.
Well, we'll get on to the acting again soon, but you mentioned before you did the play and it was like a musical one. But you have been in bands and stuff, and you were even in the Fall for a bit. So how did music come about for you?
Well, I don't really regard myself as being in the fall because I knew Mark. I knew Mark as a friend. And I met him years ago doing me poetry, in fact, through a guy called JR. Everyone knows JR. He's the local legend. He introduced me to Mark once, and me and Mark got on. Um, and then I done some poetry at one of the fall gig. I think it was at the Ritz in Manchester. I got booed off stage. Lasted
Really?
about, yeah, man. They fucking hated me. I was fucking throwing cans and shit. But again, you tried it, so I told them, "Oh, fuck off," and done a runner. But anyway, enjoyed the gig. Enjoyed the gig. They wanted a band on, not some what I thought was funny poetry. But no, not for them. Fair enough. It's about everyone's cup of tea. But then, no, I stood in playing bass on 2 occasions. Once on TV and on a show called fucking hell. Don't know, but it went out live on a Saturday night. It might have been Saturday Night Live. I played bass on that for 2 songs behind the counter, and I can't remember the other. But Mark never got up on stage. He sat in the audience for the first. We opened this show live in the Northwest. Actually, the video is on YouTube. It's still there on YouTube. So it starts. It's, "Hey, welcome to the Live West, live in the Northwest. And ladies and gentlemen, it's the Fall." And the crowd and the camera goes over and we start playing. And he doesn't get up. So we just do an instrumental. Then he got up on the line because he'd had a fallout with the floor manager, Mark. So he just sat in the audience. So I played once on that TV, and before that, I played in Turkey with them. He'd sacked a bass player and they were going to Turkey in about 3 days. So I got asked would I come to Turkey and play bass for a gig. So I said, yeah. So I got the set list and spent, a day trying to learn the notes on bass, and then went out to Turkey, I think on a Monday, rehearsed with the rest of the band, done the gig on Tuesday, came back on the Wednesday.
So you mentioned like the playing the bass and then your poems and obviously your acting and stuff. Have you always wanted to be like a big creative? Have you always had that spark?
I don't think I had any choice. I just think it was naturally in there, but I never got any guidance young enough. The funny thing is, when I was at school, there was an English teacher. She was Miss Miller. She's actually from Northern Ireland, and she let us do some drama, and we'd done a sketch about robbing a bank, and the bank fellow saying, "We're on lunch now. You'll have to come back later." And she loved it. and she let us put it on in front of the school in assembly. And to me, that was a big deal. And, you know, everyone was laughing at the right bits. So we went into Robert, this is a hold up. And the guy went, sorry, I'm on my lunch. You'll have to come back in half an hour. And we went, oh, all right. So they went out, waited and all that. And then, right, where was we? Right, it's Robert. And she thought it was good. And we put it on the school assembly hall. And it went down really well. And still no teacher said, you know, this could be interesting for you. Have you ever thought about pursuing acting or maybe going to uni or college or doing that? No, none of that happened. None of that happened. When I was at sea, I was drawing comic strips of the crew, like fucking Beano type things, and pinning them in where we all had our lunch and breakfast every day in the mess room. I used to pin them on there, 3 or 4 pages. And you know, they used to come in and read them and laugh, and it was just stupid things. But there was characters who were on the ship in it. Yeah, I couldn't draw very well, but they knew who they were by the hats they wore or the tattoos they had.
You
So
mentioned,
it was there. It just wasn't. It just wasn't encouraged enough for me. I had to find it myself.
yeah.
But there you go.
But then again, if you'd have done it back then, maybe you wouldn't have wanted it as a career. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, it could have been miles different. I think I've done it the hard way. Definitely have. But I relish everything I do, and every time I sort of I see something that I'm proud of, I think, yeah, good, fucking right.
With like TV and theatre, like you mentioned there, you like looking at a script, reading through it, and then seeing the end product on telly. But obviously with theatre, you get like the audience's instant reaction. What do you prefer, like the wait or the instant
Well,
gratification?
it's two completely different ball games anyway. I get what you're saying, but if you theatre, you go in chronologically. You start at the first line and you go right through, and yeah, it is a buzz. Um, to hear the audience's reaction, especially if it's in the right places, and it does. You do feed off it, but it's a completely different discipline. You know, in the theatre, you've got to play to the back of the house. If you're going to look at someone in a big theatre, you've got to look. You could be doing the same thing on TV, and the camera can be here, this close. So if you look, just that'll do. Just a tiny move of the eyeballs, so not to overdo it. It's done the same job. And also in TV, we're completely out of sync. You know, you go in, you might be doing episode 1. Okay, scene 37. You're doing scene 37 first. So that's up to you as an actor to know what's happened in the other 36 scenes. Because, like, fucking 2 weeks from now, you'll be doing scene 2. And it might have something to do with scene 37. So you need to know. So again, it's a different discipline. You read a theatre play, you read it in its entirety, and it starts there and it goes right through to the curtain call. That's fine. And in TV, if we mess it up, we can do it again. We can do it again. But the continuity in your head is very, very important. There might be a line in scene 37, and you think, what's that mean? Well, it's an in joke that started in scene 12. Who knows? So you're always working, and you've got to think in your head, right, what's happened now? Oh, yeah, she's fucking fell through the roof. He's kidnapped him. It's done that. It's a steamroller's fucking got there. Right, yeah. And then after scene 37, they might go, right now we're doing episode 3, scene 4, because that's at this location as well. So, I mean, you'll know you're going to do it. You get a schedule. They don't just spring it on you. You know, for instance, if using a house, try and get all the scenes done in that house. They might be
Yeah,
different episodes.
yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? But yeah, I bet it can be confused. Well, obviously, I had a long and successful career, but I bet it can be confusing, can't it?
Yeah. But then you get directors like Ken Loach and Mike Lee, who works. I was lucky enough to work for Ken Loach in Looking for Eric. how Ken has this really weird. Ken shoots in sequence. It's great, but it doesn't give you a script. You will get a synopsis of the scene, but he won't tell you things like Eric Cantona is going to appear behind you. He won't tell you things like that. So he gets the shock on your face. And Ken's films are full of improvisation. He's a genius. What he gets out of people. I was lucky enough to get the lead role in Looking for Eric, and it's an experience I'll never forget.
Well, we'll talk about Lucky Ferret now then. So how did the role come about?
By auditioning. My agent at the time was with an actors co-op. And I was working with my mate who's an electrician, working on the tools, putting plugs in, all that. Noble work. And one day my agent rang me and said, right, Ken Loach is doing an audition for 40 or 50-year-olds. I paid the bill. So she said, I'm subbing you for it. So she subbed me. And then I got a call to go to the audition. So I went to the audition and it was improvised, met Ken Loach, and it was like, okay. And there was loads of people there, but he'd do an improv with you, maybe 2 or 3 people. And he'd say, like, he'd give you a situation like you go into the football match and he always go in your car, but your car's broke down. And it's just everyday things. And he watches you. He watches how you speak. He's watching how you act, how you interact together. And then he'd go, right, thank you. You can leave now. So you'd leave and that'll be it. And then a week and a half later, I'd get another call. Ken Loach wants to see you again. So you go in again, it's a bit more improv. And then he'd say, right, bye. And then this went on for weeks. I think I had about 8 recalls. And each time the bunch of lads got more, and we knew we liked football, Man United. And he was just watching the banter. And then he'd whisper to one of them and they'd throw a curved ball into the improv. They might say the car's been stolen or, whatever. Someone's been, and he'd change it. He's watching you think on your feet all the time. And then at the end of it, my agent rang me and said I was lucky enough to get the main part. So I'd got the main part with Ken Loach, and I was over the moon because I was a great fan of his work, still am. And it was like a dream come true, but then the hard work started. I never got a script. And I knew that my character was a Man United fan. He was skint. I knew that he liked Cantona. I did not know that Cantona was going to be in the film. You don't get a script. Scene 1, day 1, you're doing scene 1, then day 2, you're doing scene 2. And I had this scene where I was getting stoned of stealing my son's stash in it. I don't know if you've ever seen the film, but you should.
Yeah.
It's not about football. But anyway, I was talking to myself in a mirror, and then this voice behind me. We done again, more takes of that. Cut, do it again. Cut, do it again. Cut, do it again. And I was basically smoking a spliff and turning my collar up. And cut, do it again. What am I doing wrong? He said, oh, it's the lights. We'll go and have a cig, we'll sort the lights out. I went outside, I came back, we did it again. I heard this voice behind me, I turned around, it was Eric Cantona, and he was now my co-star in it. So I worked with him for 6 weeks, and every time he appeared, I did not know he was going to appear.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Jesus.
Um,
Do you know when you turned around and said, is that really you? Was that actually in the moment you wanted to
yeah, because at first I didn't turn around because we had a French guy on crew, and I heard this voice, and I thought it was what I thought going through my head while I was looking at that poster. Well, have you this voice behind me? I thought, oh man, they've got one of the guys doing a voice and they're going to animate the poster so the face moves. So I thought, don't turn around because you'll kill the shot. So I didn't turn around until I heard Ken say, turn around. And when I turned around, I was gobsmacked. The reaction is real. And I did. I said, "Wow, is that really you?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, say something in fucking French.
You know, like at that moment then before he comes in the scene,
Yeah.
what are you thinking? Like, what direction do you think the film's going down? Like, what do you think it's going to be about?
Well, because it was a bit of a downtrodden and there was villains involved with my son, I thought it was going to be about redemption. I thought it was going to be about guy gets his comeuppance, everybody lives happily ever after. And then Cantona comes along and it took completely different swerve. Now I had Cantona as my mentor. So I thought, this is great. This is like going to help this guy's mental health. But then every time I did think I had a handle on the film, it changed because there was a scene as well where I said to Ken, we'd done a scene and I went, what am I doing now? And he went, he said, oh, to go back in Ryan's room and get a bit more weed out the tin because he hid it under the floorboard. So I said, okay. So he said, right, let's frame it up. So I said, I'm going to look round the door here. Camera's there, measure it. I'm going to move the plank, get the Tupperware tub out, bit of weed out of it, put it back. Yeah. Okay. Start from your room. So he never said action, those in your own time. So I crept along the corridor. All the cameras in Ryan's room. So I creep open the door. He's not in. Great. Quick sneak across, move the floorboard. We've done fucking loads of measuring up for it. Now there's no Tupperware tub there. There's a red cloth there. And I pick it up and there's a gun in it. Wow. Just wow. What the fuck? And straight away I'm like, do I put it back? If I put it back, my son's got it. Do I buy that? And I left the room and I went upstairs because he had the other Jack to Jess. And I ran up there and that was the right sit. That was the right thing to do. Because the next scene was up in his room with me saying, what's all this about? So the film took a really nasty twist then.
It's crazy working like that, isn't it?
Stroke of genius. I loved it.
The police scene at the end, that was the same, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. He didn't tell anyone about that.
That must have been scary, that.
It was.
What were you thinking when that were happening?
Well, again, he lulled you into this false sense of security because that scene was we were having a family meal. He kept all them in situ. He removed the baby. And the scene was me in the kitchen and Lily coming in and saying, you all right, Eric? And me going, yeah. What is it? Oh, it's the boys, nothing. It's all right, Lily. Would you like a coffee? Yeah. Kettle, cut. Do it again. Right, so same. So again, it got really more intimate with Steph. I thought Steph was fantastic. Was my better half in it. And then we've done it now 6 times, 7 times. Yes, we'll do it one more time. So yeah, again, you're going to think, what we're doing wrong? And he's saying, no, it's nice and intimate and like. So it was again. It's like, Lily, I don't know what to do. It's the boys. If you need any help, he said, it's all right, Lily. Do you want a drink? Yeah. Bang! This fucking noise. I thought one of the big lights had fell down outside. So my natural reaction was to look down the corridor and all I saw was policemen running at me, armed policemen. And I've got to tell you, these are not extras dressed as armed police. This was a real armed police response squad who, oh man, they steamed in. the other lot were dragged out of the room, handcuffed. I was thrown on the floor, arms behind my back, all shouting, "Get over here! Oh, fucking this! Oh, what the fuck!" Handcuffed, and then thrown down the corridor to a catchment officer, and go outside, and the street is taped off with police tape, and I'm physically manhandled off into a police car. By the back of the neck, thrown in, and you're under arrest, and same for Steph. And then they took us in the car and they drove off, and I could see Jed and Lucy Joe getting put in the other cars, crying. She was crying, Lucy Joe, and Steph was, and it was an incredible, intense experience. And then the police drove off. And they drove us around the block and they came back to the house and they let us out. And Ken was there and he was like, "Is everyone all right?" It's like, fucking hell, yeah.
Jeez.
He went, "You can all go home now. You got the rest of the day off."
You must have been on extra little time then after that with what's coming next.
All the time, looking around the corner, didn't trust anything.
Crazy that. What was Cantona like to work with him?
Fantastic. Absolutely very humble, charismatic man. He was, he'd do a scene and you know, he'd say to me, "Steve, was I okay?" It's like, stop it, mate. Stop it.
One of the funny things in the film was when he's talking to you and he said, sort of like, "Stop it with the proverbs. I'm still getting over the seagulls one."
Yeah.
Was that
No,
was
I
that,
threw that in.
oh, did you? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What do his reaction? Did he ever give you a reaction to stuff like that?
He didn't mind. He laughed. He took it. He loved it. He loved working with Ken.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it big in France then? It must have been a big film in
I
France.
don't know. I don't know. I'm sure it was. I don't know.
So it must have helped you with your future jobs then, working like that, like on the
Yeah,
board.
well, it did. It changed my life, that film, because I got a better agent. I was with an Actors Co-op then, and no disrespect to Actors Co-op, they're great, but they're manned by actors, you know, and they're manned by actors, and you're an actor, and you have to go in and do your days in the office, and it is a good way getting to know what's coming in, stuff like that, and what's out there. But I went with a London agent just because I felt I'd done my apprenticeship enough. It was time to move up a notch, and I did, you know, touch wood.
Well, you have had a long and successful career, like I said earlier. I've picked a few films and series. It's okay if we just talk about some of them.
Yeah.
Well, is it all right? We'll start off with Emmerdale, then that was one of your early ones, wasn't it?
Was it?
You're at 97, 98, is that
Oh,
right?
yeah. What was I in that? Was a security guard?
Yeah, yeah. There was like, I watched the episodes. It was like a robbery, but then it turned into a murder and stuff.
That's right. I was a security guard. Didn't a horse get robbed or something?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember much about it, to be honest. That was like jobbing actor stuff. It was a character that I wasn't really going to come back. He did come back, but I can't remember much about it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think it
well,
was
the
court.
court episode. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we did 3 episodes, but yeah, you can't really remember much of it, though.
No, there was loads of jobs like that. There were nothing really there to get your teeth into. You know, that's what they call kind of day player roles. I mean, I'm not knocking it. That's how you do it. That you get day player roles. You're in for the day, doing a few lines here, and then you're gone. You know, and that's what that security guard was. I've done it in so many things. You know, I've cropped up in everything. And some are good parts, some are day player parts, some are a bit gritty, and you can get your teeth into it. They're the more memorable ones.
Well, my next one was Shameless, where the first role you had like one line, but then you had more of a role in the second time round.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed that. The first one, like you say, it was a day player. I think it was 2 lines to Frank Gallagher. So that's day playing roles there and gone. The next one I did like Brooks. He was a cop. He was a corrupt. He was a corrupt CID bloke, and I relished playing him. It had a great story arc. He was a cocaine snorting, corrupt CID officer, and he got his comeuppance. So, yeah, great.
Do you like playing them kind of roles that are different to what you usually do?
I'll play anything if I can, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's sometimes probably nice to get out your comfort zone, but if I think I can do it justice, I'll have a go at it.
Well, that leads me to my next one actually. See No Evil, the Moors murders.
Yeah,
That must have been a bit of a tough one.
yeah, it was. It was. I played Jack Smith's dad. Am I right in that? No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh, you
did.
played. Were it Dave Smith's dad? Have I got that right? You played Jack Smith. No,
I, I can't remember the name, to be
no,
honest.
I can't.
Um,
But yeah, you played his dad, didn't you? That's the
yeah,
role.
that's right. Yeah, I played his dad. And that was played by Michael. Oh, I'll forget his name. He was actually the young lad who I played his dad in that. He played the younger Eric in Looking for Eric. So that was weird. Michael McNulty.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, you're in Spike Island as well, wasn't
yeah, yeah,
he?
he
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do remember him. So it must have been weird then with you being so close to the. You'll have been close to it at the time as well, really, won't you?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people. Yeah, it's still so subject round here.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, not so much round here. It's all Hyde Way and Attersley Way and up in the hills there, Saddleworth Moors and whatnot. Yeah, yeah. It's still ingrained in Manchester.
yeah. Horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was tough to on the set and stuff then for you.
Yeah, and Sean Harris is an interesting character anyway. An actor. He played Ian Brady, him and Maxine
Yeah,
Pitt.
yeah.
Um, yeah, Sean's very, very method.
Well, I had Kelly Ollis on here who was in that, and she said he was a bit of a prick, really.
Oh yeah, she didn't like him, did she?
No, no.
I didn't have much interaction with him really. I just left him to it.
Yeah. Well, with Summer actually, the one before Looking for Eric, the film with Robert Carlyle. What was that
Yeah,
one like?
that was great. That I really enjoyed that, and that came apart. That came by because the director of that is a Scottish guy called Kenny Glennon, and he had done a series called Buried, which is about prison. And I was working as an electrician at the time, and I had an audition for it. And I worked with a mate, and he let me have time off to go to auditions. But we got the wrong place, and we went to it late, and I was caked in shit. Not for this was for Buried, right? I was caked in shit, and I walked in fucking late, and Dean Andrews was there because I know Dean now. He's an actor. He said he saw me walk in, and he thought, "Fucking hell, he'll not come tonight. Look at the state of him." Anyway, long story short, I got that job on Buried, right, and done that. And then Kenny Glennon had that film to do, and he said to me, "I'd like you to read at the read through just so I can hear the words. You can't be in it. We're casting a look in for someone else." I said, "I'd be more than happy to do that, Kenny. Yeah." So I went to the read through, not the official read. He just wanted to hear it. I remember Kenny, he just sat there with his eyes closed while everybody read the various parts in it. And then a bit later, he said, "Right, he's starting work on this." Well, what you mean I've got the part? He went, "Yeah." He fought for me to get the part because he liked the reading. So that was good. But I did enjoy that film. Robert Carlyle was great in it. He was great to work with. Um, yeah, it was a good experience.
I've heard it's a good film. I was looking to watch it, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, I'll have to try and give it a watch here.
Yeah.
What about Pirates of the Caribbean? Then I know it was only another small role, but
Well, here's how it worked with Pirate of the Caribbean. I think I had 3 lines in it, and my agent said to me, "Don't do it. You're better than that." Right. And I said to her, I said, "Look, Liv, all my mates, they're all manual workers, all brickies, plasterers, sparkies, motor mechanic, window fit, all that. If I said to them, I was turning down 6 weeks in Hawaii, 3 weeks in Los Angeles, and getting some money, I'm getting flown out there free, and I get to be a pirate," and I turned it down. I said, "They'd kick my fucking head in." So I said, "Well, I'll do it then." So I did. And it wasn't job satisfaction, but it was a great novel. Johnny Depp was fantastic. Stephen Graham was. There's a bunch of lads in it. It was great. And it was 6 weeks in Hawaii, man. The hotel, everything was found. It was a dog's bollocks.
you know something like that though, when it comes up on your CV that you've been in something like as big as that, does that help you get jobs?
Well, not really, because I was more or less a glorified extra in it, a day player in it. But I went for the experience for that. And I don't
Yeah,
really,
yeah. Well, we mentioned Spike Island earlier. I'm a big fan of that film and the Stone Roses. What was that like?
yeah, it was great, Spike Island. There was a big buzz about it, still is. Unfortunately, I died in that. Uh, well, that was weird. There's been some strange coincidences in my life. In Spike Island, when I died, I went to my funeral. It was my day off because I was dead, but I went to the funeral on film, and they held it at Lower Kersal Social Club. Now, I used to work behind the bar there when I was skint. So, Lower Kersal Social Club, and now I'm up behind the camera and watching Leslie Manville crying and singing a song, and I'm there. And I thought that was a strange thing. And also, Salford docks. I was walking through them dock gates when I was 16, 17, with a bag on my shoulder to join a freight ship. And when Looking for Eric came out, we had the premiere now at Media City, which is what the docks is now. So I had to fucking pinch myself on the premiere night. I was walking down the red carpet in a fucking suit. And if you'd have done a time backwards thing, you'd have seen me walking down the same spot, but no carpet, with holes in my jeans and a bag on my back, ready to sail off somewhere.
Crazy how it all works out, isn't it?
Is
Well, it got a good reception though, Spike Island. It's like a cult classic, really, isn't it?
it is, yeah, yeah.
What about Rev?
Rev, great. A coat got me that job.
A coat?
Yeah,
Why?
because I went for an audition for Rev, and I did what I did the audition, and I left. And then I got a recall to learn some bench scenes with the vicar and go down and work with Tom Hollander, and it would be filmed to see how me and him gelled. Now, when I was at WOMAD one year, it was in the middle of the night. I was off my head. I was cold. I bought a duffel coat off some stall that was open and, kept me warm. So that was that. So when I went down to this audition, I was wearing a duffel coat, and the director, Peter Cantonetta, was there. Tom was there, shook hands with Tom. They had a bench there. He said, "Right, let's do some bench scenes." So I took the coat off and threw it on the floor. We'd done a bench scene, And then the director, Peter, said, "Could you put your coat on again, Steve?" So I said, "Yeah, of course, no problem." So I put this duffel coat on, and we did the bench scene. And he was great, we'll let you know. And I went and I got the job. Then I had to go for a wardrobe fitting So I used to wear this duffel coat all the time. So I went to wardrobe and they'd bought 3 duffel coats. So I took mine off. I put the first duffel coat on they'd bought. They took loads of photos and he went, we just put yours on again. So I put mine back on. And he said, try the second one on. So I took mine off, put the second one on. They took photos, looked at each other and went, I've just put yours one on again. So I put mine on again. And he went, right, just try the third one. So I put the third one on and they took loads of photos. And then we were all looking at each other like this. And I went, do you want me to wear my own coat? And he went, oh, would you please, darling? That would be lovely. So my coat in Rev is my coat. It's hung up over there downstairs.
Really? You've just done like a short film piece of cake that's just been like premiered and stuff. What was that like?
That was great, brilliant film. Great little cast and crew. I'm going to name check them now. Susan Hilton, who plays the mum in it. Jennifer Banks, who's my girlfriend in real life, but plays my girlfriend in that, if you like, and me, Marvin. But written and directed by a young, fantastic, I think, writer and director and producer, Jack Hartley, Donny Young, and lit beautifully by a fantastic DOP. Fucking hell, don't say I forgot his name now. Oh, George, fucking George. Fucking hell, I've got his right name now. Bear with me. George Adock. His lighting is just beautiful. And they crafted a wonderful 10-minute film that's full of intrigue. It's just great. It's just great. It's so atmospheric. George Adock, his lighting is just something special.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So, what does the future look like for you then? Have you got anything lined up?
Well, I'm learning some lines now for a self-tape I'm going to do this weekend. And I'm doing Brassic again in January. Which would, and yeah, I have pretty much a non-fatalistic approach to life these days. So, take it as it comes.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. What advice, just to finish off, what advice would you give to somebody that wants to start out in like the acting industry?
Well, it's not an easy road. People don't understand how it's changed so much, but there was no internet in my day, and you had to find out where casting directors were, their addresses. You had to send stamps, envelopes, and things like that. These days, with everything being so instantaneous, you've only got to Google someone, you know everything about them. And there's a lot of young actors who just think, I want to be an actor, and they do a few lessons and then they mail everyone out, and then they're depressed because they've not got the lead part in something. It's not that easy. I think you need quite a lot of resilience. You need a lot of faith in yourself, belief in yourself. You also need to be realistic. You're not going to get every job you go for. That would be ludicrous. You've got to be able to take the knocks. And that's it, really. Persevere, take some knocks, and you've got to have the heart for it. If you haven't, you're just kidding yourself. And there's nothing worse about kidding yourself.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said there. Thanks a lot for coming on as well. It's been great to talk to you as well.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, Ethan. Yeah, it's been good.